Do you think Terence Crawford can beat Canelo Alvarez?
Yeah, I think he can win.
Okay.
I don't know if he's going to win, but I think he can win.
So
but he's going to have to box a brilliant fight.
And I think that Crawford is brilliant as a boxer. And I think that between switching to conventional and southpaw, using his jab and movement, I think that Crawford is going to outpoint Canelo because he's faster.
Especially the super middleweight who's been up at light heavyweight. I don't see how he can do that and perform for longer than 4, 5, maybe 6 rounds.
Really,
I just think the weight will get to him. I used to spar welterweights.
But then again, I think about Crawford's abilities and his IQ and his footwork, which Canelo cannot handle. And we know that for a fact.
It's a mistake. That's the warning from boxing legend Evander Holyfield when it comes to the much-hyped showdown between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford.
It's hard to beat Canelo. He's real basic, but he's a good fighter.
While a lot of fans are buzzing with excitement about the fight, Holyfield didn't hold back. He thinks Crawford could be walking into serious trouble.
I just think each fight is the individual himself to how they think. And
Evander knows all about moving up in weight. He's done it successfully himself, and that's why his opinion carries weight. He didn't disrespect Crawford, but he made it clear he's picking Canelo in this one. He described Canelo as a very basic fighter, but not in a bad way. What he meant was that Canelo does everything right, and sometimes that's even more dangerous than flashy moves. He believes Canelo's power and experience at this weight class are going to be big problems for Crawford.
He wants to move up 3 weight classes, Terence does, and fight Canelo. What do you think of that? For Canelo's undisputed titles.
It'll be hard to beat Canelo. He's real basic, but he's a good fighter.
UFC commentator and podcast host Joe Rogan has also voiced his thoughts about Terence Crawford facing Canelo Alvarez. Speaking on his podcast, Rogan didn't question Crawford's skill. He's a big fan of what Bud brings to the table, but he strongly feels that Crawford would have to box a brilliant fight. According to Rogan, Crawford should take a more gradual approach.
Do you think Terence Crawford can beat Canelo Alvarez?
Yeah, I think he can win.
Okay.
I don't know if he's going to win, but I think he can win.
So
he's going to have to box a brilliant fight.
Now, Crawford is chasing history. At 37 years old, the Omaha-born fighter is looking to become the first man ever to become undisputed champion in 3 different weight divisions. That's a crazy goal and one that could really cement his legacy. But to do it, he'll need to beat a guy who's naturally bigger, stronger, and used to taking punches from fighters much heavier than what Crawford's used.
Be myself and just don't get careless in the ring and, stay sharp. All 12 rounds, if it goes 12 rounds. I think that's the only thing that, I need to do and make sure that in training that I sharpen up all my tools.
On the other side of the fence, sports analyst Stephen A. Smith has a completely different outlook. He recently said he thinks Crawford is going to beat Canelo by decision.
He said this. He said Crawford could find himself in trouble, and I'm not sure it was him, but I think it was him. He said Crawford could find himself in trouble if he decides to engage with Canelo, because Canelo is the naturally bigger, strong fighter. And I don't care that Crawford's gotten bigger, and I don't care that Crawford's going to go in there just as big as Canelo. Canelo is accustomed to fighting at the weight, and Crawford is not. And Canelo is a genius in this regard.
On Andre Ward's podcast, Smith explained that while nobody's likely to knock Canelo out, someone like Crawford, who moves well, jabs, switches stances, can definitely outpoint him. He said Crawford's footwork and boxing IQ would make the difference.
And I think that Crawford is brilliant as a boxer. And I think that between switching to conventional and southpaw, using his jab and movement, I think that Crawford is going to outpoint Canelo because he's faster. But I don't think he's going to.
Stephen A. also pointed out something he doesn't like about Canelo's style. He said Canelo loads up too many of his shots. Like every punch is meant to knock someone out. That kind of style, he thinks, just won't work against someone slick and calculated like Crawford. According to Smith, this approach might backfire, especially when Crawford starts racking up rounds on the scorecards with volume punching and movement. Still, Smith did acknowledge that Canelo is used to fighting at 168 pounds and has natural strength that Crawford doesn't have. He said if Crawford tries to stand and bang, he could get hurt. Even Gervonta Davis's trainer said something similar. Just because Crawford's added muscle doesn't mean he's built for the weight. Fighting at 168 takes more than just putting on pounds. It's about being comfortable at that size in real fights.
I will confess, I think Gervonta Davis's trainer, Cal, I think he said this. He said Crawford could find himself in trouble, and I'm not sure it was him, but I think it was him. He said Crawford could find himself in trouble if he decides to engage with Canelo, because Canelo is the naturally bigger, strong fighter. And I don't care that Crawford's gotten bigger, and I don't care that Crawford's going to go in there just as big as Canelo. Canelo is accustomed to fighting at the weight, and Crawford is not. And Canelo is a genius in this regard. You don't see him show up for fights not ready. He's always
prepared.
He's always ready. He's always prepared. So I think he's the slower fighter, though. And I think that Crawford is brilliant as a boxer. And I think that between switching to conventional and southpaw, using his jab and movement, I think that Crawford is going to outpoint Canelo because he's faster. But I don't think he's going to.
What makes this whole event even more unique is the way the undercard is being planned. Turki Al-Sheikh, the man behind the event and the head of Riyadh Season, announced that the undercard will actually stretch over 2 or 3 days. Instead of squeezing all the prelim fights into one night, they're spreading them out to give new fighters more spotlight. Al-Sheikh says over 20 fights are scheduled, and most of them will feature young talent from around the world. The goal is to give rising stars a real shot at making a name for themselves.
It will be between 2 or 3 days. Imagine, for 2 or 3 days. We have now reached more than 20 fights to do in the undercard. And 95% of this card is talent, and people around the world have very big chance to be star in the future.
So you're saying maybe fights on Thursday, Friday?
Then Saturday.
It's like a fight festival.
Yeah. It must be something like this.